Hey everybody, Dr. Ray, and today we're here to talk about how do you know you're ready for retirement? How much do you need? How much are you supposed to save for this big thing? You've probably asked financial advisors, you have looked online, all kinds of different information out there, but for the most part, if you look long and you look far and hard enough, there's a lot of commonalities between all the pieces of advice. So the first thing you need to ask yourself when you're trying to figure out, what's my retirement number? The first thing you need to really ask yourself is, how much do I need to live? So you literally need to know, how much do you need? Before I can tell you, I can't just say like you need $10, you need $1 million, you need $5 million, you need $10 million. How much money do you need? What are your expenses? How much do you personally need to live? I can't answer this question for you. So this is something that you need to figure out, how much you need to live. So let's talk about figuring out how much you need to live. So in order to find out how much you need to live, the first thing that you need to do is you need to figure out, do your expenses. So usually what I tell people to do is to do a full month of expenses and figure out how much do I normally spend, assuming that you don't have any weird, unusual expenses outside of that. That should be what you do. Now, I get that writing down all of your expenses for an entire month is kind of a big pain. There are some short and easy ways to do that. Some of the things that I'll tell people to do is just sit down over at least a week and figure out how much do I spend per week on average. Get some good averages. Let's add in like things like mortgages, debts, all this, the bills that you actually have to pay, and figure out how much do you spend per month. Multiply that number times 12, and you know how much you need per year. So just as an example, let's say you've run your statistics and you need $50,000 per year. Now, one of the first things you're going to ask yourself before we even get to this number is, what about Social Security? So let's talk about Social Security for a second. So first of all, I would tell everyone, regardless of your age, do not rely on Social Security. There are lots of issues with the fund. We're nervous that it may not last forever. We're nervous that it may be cut. There's a lot of uncertainties around Social Security. So my first advice to you is, do not rely on government for retiring. Now, if you're close to retiring right now, you can get a pretty good idea of what you're going to get, and it's probably not going to go away anytime soon. But if you're like me, I'm in my lower 40s, or even younger than that, I'd tell you, you probably better make other plans. Do not rely on Social Security at all. So I'm way against relying on government for my retirement because I don't trust it. The government changes all the time. We have our Congress and senators which change. Our president changes all the time. Just don't rely on it. You don't know what's going to happen. Yes, you paid into it, but you might not get it. So just don't rely on your Social Security. Rely on yourself. Okay, so let's talk about your numbers. Let's say you figured out that you want $50,000 per year in retirement. That'll be a good number for you to get by. You don't know how long you're going to live. I mean, most people tell you like plan for 30 years, but what if they come out with like the magic pill that allows us to live like till we're 140? Like, you don't know if that's going to happen or not. And you don't want to be out of money if that happens. So if you say you need 50 grand per year, we're going to plan that we want that money to last maybe indefinitely or a really long time. So how do we do that? All right, so I'm going to talk about how you invest your 401k in a different, where you invest your retirement in a different video, or podcast, vlog. A different vlog would be the name that I want to use for all these. But, okay, so your number's 50K per year. That's what you need. You've figured out, you've done your expenses, you know that's what you're going to need for the rest of your life. That's what you want. All right, so what do you do next? How do you determine how much you need to save if you want 50K per year? All right, so very simple. And I'm going to do this on my phone while I'm telling you. You multiply your number, 50,000 times 25. That's 1.25 million. So I'm not just making up these calculations. They're based on a research study called the Trinity Study. Please go look it up and learn about the Trinity Study so you understand where I'm getting these numbers from. Okay, so if you wanted 50 grand per year, you would need $1.25 million saved. $1.25 million saved. We're going to assume, we're not going to get into it right now, but we're going to assume, based on that number, that your money is invested in an S&P 500 index fund. All right. Okay. that means that we can withdraw 4% per year, which gives us 50 grand, and we'll count for inflation in there. But if we withdraw 50K per year from that $1.25 million, we should theoretically never run out of money. That's based on looking at the S&P 500 since it was created, how much it goes up and down per year. On average, it should be going up more than you're taking out. So you should theoretically never run out of money. So when we talk about your number that you need, that's where we're getting it from. So please go look up the Trinity study to look at that. So if we need 50 grand per year, we need 1.25 million. So that's how much you need to save for 50K a year. So some people look at that number as like this daunting, like, oh my goodness, that's a lot. But believe it or not, that's really not that much money. And we're going to talk about like strategies for saving and getting more money at work and stuff like that later on. Not this video, not this vlog, but yeah, that's your number. So how much do you need? I have no idea how much you need. Now, if you have like, there are some like unusual circumstances. Like some people have a pension. Like me personally, I have a pension. So if I know I need 50K per year and I have a pension, I know that 50K per year divided by 12 equals, almost 40, roughly 4,200 per month. It's a little less than that. Let's say I am getting a pension and my pension is for $2,000 a month. I can minus 2,000 from that number. And that means I need to have in savings enough to have, roughly 25K per year, because that 2 grand is like half of that my pension's covering half of what I need. So I know I only need 25K per year in my savings at retirement. So you have to work out, your pension and other things. And a lot of people ask about that. Now maybe I'll do a whole vlog just about pensions because they do change your numbers slightly. So you just need to figure out how much do you need per year? Multiply that times 25, and assuming a 4% withdrawal rate, that's how much you need. Now, little pieces of advice here. Let's say that you are young, like my age or younger. I'm probably going to recommend that you go to 3.5 or 3% withdrawal rate per year, which means you need to increase, instead of multiplying times 25, you need to multiply times like 30 or 35 to be a little more conservative, just in case. I'm very conservative with money, so I like to have a lot of just in case. I'll talk to you about like my portfolio and how diverse it is and how I really have multiple forms of income that I'm planning on in retirement and the reasons that I do that in another video. But if somebody asks, am I ready? How much do I need for retirement? It's a very simple calculation. How much do you need per year? Multiply that times 25. That's how much you need. So that's it. That's how much you need for retirement. If you have any questions, post them in the chat. There's a lot of things that I could go over right now, like different ways to save, different types of investments, really getting into the whole if you have a pension type thing and should you rely on Social Security or not. And I've kind of given you the blanket, like general answers to all of those kind of questions right now. But there is a lot of detail and a lot of things to consider when you're looking at that. But my main pieces of advice are right now, don't rely on Social Security, don't rely on the government, rely on yourself, get savings. If you're watching this and you're not saving for retirement at all, start saving right now. We'll talk about how much you should save in another vlog, but you gotta start saving right now because you don't know what you need. And I'll tell you what, 50 grand a year at retirement is not a lot of money. That doesn't go very far. So that means you need a minimum of 1.25 million. That's in addition to Social Security or anything else you might potentially get. So just think about that. All right, y'all. Later.